For over 100 years, Iowa has been a leader on human and civil rights issues, including race, gender, and religion. Iowa's human rights story has been forged in the actions of brave men and women from diverse backgrounds. In the mid-19th century, Iowa took in Mormons fleeing persecution, was the first U.S. state to admit women to the bar, and legalized interracial marriage. The Iowa Civil Rights Act of 1884 banned discrimination on the basis of race, religion, or ethnic background. The early 20th century saw many human and civil rights firsts in Iowa. In 1925, two Iowan attorneys formed the first association of African American legal professionals. In 1932, the first woman was elected as Iowa Secretary of State. And in 1934, the first mosque in the country was built in Cedar Rapids. In the 1960s and 70s, Iowa made it illegal to discriminate based on national origin, sex, disability, age, housing, credit, and education. And in the last decade, it has also included sexual orientation, gender identity, and wage. The Department of Human Rights continues to advance civil and human rights issues while providing Iowans with opportunities to meet their goals and achieve success.
Human rights is about bringing equity and access so that, wherever you're born, to whomever you are born, you have the same opportunities as everyone else.
I think of us as sort of the front of a warehouse. People come into our warehouse with different needs, and we can listen to what those needs are, examine why those needs occur, and then we have this wonderful back of the warehouse, nonprofits, other government organizations, for-profit organizations, members of our commissions, and we can take that need from the front of the warehouse and go into the back of the warehouse and package things up to meet exactly what that need is.
I have always been very pleased with the Department of Human Rights. They have an area that represents almost every underserved population in this state. African Americans, women, people with disabilities, Latinos, Asians, every group has an opportunity to have a voice and to have a standing in this Iowa community. And if we didn't have this department, I don't know where people would go for answers.
I think the whole thing with disability in general, and this in particular, is equality and access, because that's what the independent living movement is about, to let people do things for themselves, to enable them to participate. And there's always roadblocks to everything, and there's never enough time, enough money, much resources. But if you keep the broad view in mind, I think it'll work out.
What are some of those issues that you're seeing, unmet needs, related to the independent living movement in your areas? Sure.
Transportation.
Transportation is a big issue.
That's huge, because not everybody works the 8 to 5. And if you can't drive, you have to do Uber or cab or some expensive means to get to where you need to be.
In Iowa, we are one of the states that is less populous. So the money that comes down from the federal government will always be less for Iowa. And Iowa do not have the resources to support centers that many of the larger states do. So the percentage of funding that we get in Iowa to provide these services is a lot less.
Everybody in the room today was associated in some way with the Independent Living Council. So some of them are Iowans with disabilities, some of them are professionals or family members, other advocates. One of the things we talked about today was self-advocacy and the need to really educate people about what their rights are and what their opportunities opportunities are so they can make truly informed choices. And we do a lot of assessing the needs of our state to look at what are Iowans struggling with, what are the barriers, what are the areas that we need to focus efforts on or create some initiatives. And then it ultimately impacts the policies and procedures that programs and agencies implement. Office of Persons with Disabilities is one office of 7 that we have in our division. So we also advocate for African Americans, Native Americans, deaf and hard of hearing, a lot of underserved, underrepresented populations. But of course, this particular one is near and dear to my heart. This is what my background is in.
Our work is very much focused at the system level. And we know that if we can take the time to go in and understand what's happening that causes those emergencies, that we can create a system where those emergencies stop existing.
Our job is to support the success of local agencies, to reach families through those programs. We serve all 99 counties across Iowa. Rural counties, urban counties, all have community action agencies, offices.
What we have developed, especially the last 3 or 4 years, as the Department of Human Rights has really strengthened the community action agencies. They have given them legitimacy, accountability, and a spot in the communities where we're recognized as, hey, these folks not only handle money well, they have the best interest of the community as a whole.
For example, our food pantry is provided by an entity called DMARC, and DMARC doesn't have any income restrictions. So as that family loses all of these resources, they can still come to the food pantry and get assistance.
That's fine. So let's bag them as we go.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, let's get you some snacks, I think.
People tend to go to extreme measures in order to pay their utility bills because they don't want to either freeze or lose their home, be evicted. So they will give up food, they'll give up medicine, they'll forego paying other bills. We've done studies, we know the choices that people make in order to try to afford unaffordable energy.
That's my little brother Noah. He lives with us, but he's at school right now.
I grew up very poor. I teach children to swim. That's what I do, but that doesn't pay a lot of money. I applied for energy assistance, single parent. I had, at one point, 5 teenagers living in the house at one time. I qualified, and they gave me a certain amount of money that would help go towards my heating bill. The lady that did it said that there were other programs available and that they have a weatherization program where they can shoot insulation into your house. 2 months later, my furnace broke down. I do have a baby in the house, and so even though I don't like to ask for things, the furnace wasn't working in the middle of winter. And so I went back and I said, is that program still available? And she said yes. Within 24 hours of me saying that to that lady at Impact, they wound up replacing it, the entire furnace. You can't imagine when you don't have a lot of money, what a big thing that is.
One of the key programs we have is the Weatherization Program. Through weatherization, we make homes safer and more efficient for families, and this reduces their heating costs and makes them more comfortable, and does so in a way that creates lifelong change and not just a temporary fix.
We come down here and we test an atmospheric water heater, which we did in this case, and it was backdrafting It was causing carbon monoxide to come into the living area. So for health and safety, we replaced this water heater, put in a power vent, and that no longer is a safety concern for the homeowner.
Anything that they've seen wrong, they've fixed. Words can't express what that means to someone who is in charge of other people to have that happen. This program has shown me that the government isn't always bad, that sometimes they are there to help, and that the people behind the programs are real people. Every person that I've met that's been a part of this program has been exceptional.
One of the things that we do is identify what the issues are that need to be resolved, identify the best pathways to resolve them, and then involve our partners in implementing those pathways. It's a model we use time and time again.
When I was in the juvenile justice system, working with youth, I could not always make the right decision because I didn't have all the information. We are getting more data, more information from the system that is helping us make these decisions that do make a difference for these young people.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, we're here in the interest of Annie Anderson, who's present with her attorney. She's still in phase 1. She left her mother's home and was not where she was supposed to be for over 24 hours. When she was found, she was placed in detention. Too Good to Lose started with the idea of having an all-female court structure. The research states that young women do better in an all-female environment. It is strength-based. We then try to plug them into services that are female responsive.
Thank you. The state's position for detention.
Your Honor, thank you. It is my request that you continue Annie in detention. I'm very concerned about Annie's run. We focus a lot on being safe and demand that they be treated with the respect that they deserve. The sanctions that are in place are really looking at their needs and what's the source of the behaviors that we're seeing to try to address those.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. On behalf of Annie, we're going to ask that the court release her from detention at this time. Annie ran away from home for less than 24 hours after she had a fight. Whether it's these girls being involved in a criminal case in the future or having to be sent out of state, the point of this program is to get in as early as possible and prevent those future harms, both for the young women and the taxpayers. So, Your Honor, we would ask that she be released back into her mother's care at this time.
Thank you. Annie, I want to give you the last word. What would you like to say?
So the Department of Human Rights helps our agency gathering statistics. They can help us see, 10 years ago, where were we at? Where were we at 5 years ago? When the state training school for girls shut down, where are we at now? And so they are able to compile all that data for us so that we can see big picture and also make adjustments. It's critical.
With respect to your request today that you be released home, I am not going to grant that request. Specifically, I think we need to get some services in place to make it better between you and your mother.
We have to assess their needs and risks and then find the programs that provide quality and are proven to be effective and make sure that they are the right match for that service. If we do that, then fewer of them will get back in trouble.
When I came to Art Force, Iowa, I'm a recovering addict, and I was homeless, and I couldn't get a job because I had a criminal background. And then I was told about this liftoff program through Art Force Iowa. They were like, yo, you're gonna create your shirt, you're gonna sell this stuff. And I didn't even really comprehend what they were saying because all I could wrap my mind around was that they were gonna pay me. This place is kind of special to me. Like, this is where my road to recovery really started, you know? So this program means a lot. And these kids do great. And now I get the chance to take in young adults that have the same problems, and I get to show them and help them along the way.
I started with Art Force Iowa at the age of 17. I was running with bad crowds and got locked up. They came in detention and they was telling me about this program. I got out and I met up with a lady named Stephanie, and she put me through Art Force Iowa. They gave me motivation. They helped me out, you know, and they was the people that I'd never had that was helping me, you know. Everybody I was around take me to the wrong place. I'm staying out of trouble now. No more going to jail. Art Force changes life. I'm gonna say that. It changes people's lives a lot.
We know what will work. We're not guessing. We really, truly have done the research and the data and asked the hard questions of the entire system. It does require entire systems to change. And at the end of the day, getting everybody on board with what change looks like might be the magic of our work.
I serve on various advisory councils that address issues that affect African Americans in the state. Some of those issues might be criminal justice, health, education, economic development. There is a shortage of black businesses in Iowa, and so we look at that as well. We are 3% of the population in Iowa, but 25% of the prison population. And so we serve on committees that impact policy to address those issues.
The creation of the different divisions in the Department of Human Rights is to make sure that every voice is heard, because history has sort of downtrodden people from different ethnicities. As far as African American women in the prison system, women have specific needs. So we're very gender responsive, but we also are aware of the needs of different people from different backgrounds.
Our teachers need to be trained in the areas of human rights and diversity. Our administrators, our counselors, everyone who works with kids needs that as a focus. I think sometimes in Iowa, we can easily say, oh, I do that, I treat everyone equally, but we don't understand and appreciate differences, and we don't see how the status quo has to change. And so I have always looked at the Department of Human Rights as being a place where this could change.
I think we can break the pattern or educate people, empower people by just having those hard conversations.
One of the main things that the Office of Latino Affairs does is creates and maintains relationships with different agencies, whether they're government agencies or nonprofits.
The Des Moines Public Schools English Language Learner Program serves about 7,000 students. 50% of those are students of Hispanic descent, but the majority of them are from Mexico. We try to serve the whole child, and sometimes that means helping mom and dad with securing resources, whether it be legal help, whether it be any sort of workshops that they can qualify for. And so that's where these partnerships come into play. We have an expertise in terms of serving students in the learning process. They have an expertise in terms of being able to secure resources for the family.
We have very rural communities where there isn't a person in charge in their community of helping them out. So Sonia is the first person we can call. That's really important to see a face that looks like theirs at the state level.
The connection that we have is through community engagement and through civic engagement. So it is one of our goals at the Department of Human Rights to provide civic engagement activities and support.
We want to protect children, and these children have rights as well. And so it's very important, this work that they do.
There are 150 legislators, 50 senators, 100 representatives. And out of that 150, 5 are African American. And out of the 5, 3 are women. We need women. We need the perspective of women. We need that joint, that consolidation of both genders in order to really make the laws work, to make the laws balance.
Some of the biggest issues women face in Iowa are economic. That might include things like access to high-paying jobs, level of education, discrimination in the workplace. One of the things we do is provide research on women and girls in Iowa. We serve on different coalitions and task force around the state.
One of the things that is very important to us is leadership, showing girls leadership and action. If a girl can't see it, how will she ever dream it or become it? We have programs. One of them has been Capital Girls, and that's where older girls shadow female legislators. When girls can see the potential that they can have for themselves, they just get empowered, and you can just, it's just that little light you can see and how it has changed their life.
I think there will always be people who are in need of some special assistance because they are part of a vulnerable population and face some additional barriers. My hope is that over time, we don't have the same group of people who face challenges, that as people move towards self-sufficiency, that we also have instilled in them this responsibility to pay it forward.
We need to be holistic. We need to teach our young people how to be human beings.
Some boys and girls can be friends, or some boys and girls cannot be friends, but they still can play with each other. Just treat them the right way that you want to be treated.
We're dealing with things that are intractable, been around for a long time, and we are hopefully making headway by looking for opportunities to bring people together to make a difference.